Are you ready to learn and experience the process of becoming a Medicare machine?
Good morning. How are you? Joshua Young's the Medicare Machine coming at you from the podcast studio here in Fort Morgan for the Top 1% podcast. Joining me today is one of our superstar rock stars, Lori Russell. Good morning, Lori.
Good morning, Joshua.
Yeah, you want to have this closer to you?
Good morning, Joshua.
There you go. Now we can hear you. I think we're just waiting for Tyler to join. I'm guessing he joined a Teams meeting thinking that would work, but we'll see if we can get him on as well.
Okay.
So we like to highlight top 1% folks on here. You happen to be on the Peace of Mind team.
Yay.
So tell everybody about yourself.
Well, first of all, I want to say thank you, Joshua, for bringing me into this beautiful studio this morning. My office is right down the hall, and I had no idea it was so cool in here because the door's always closed. So I didn't really know what was going on in here. But this is like walking into a professional studio. I am super impressed, and I feel just like I'm on a major TV network right now.
You are. We have 4 whopping viewers.
This was my dream before I became a teacher. I actually wanted to be a news anchor. So right now I'm living out a past life fantasy that I wanted to be on the air. But I did graduate from Colorado State University, and I got married and had children. And after my children were old enough, I did start teaching. So I started teaching when my son was an 8th grader, my daughter was a 3rd grader. And I did that for 18 years, got divorced, got remarried, worked in my ex-husband's restaurant. And then I had a life change, and I needed to do something different with my life. And that's where I met Joshua and Aaron. I started working as an administrative assistant here at Medicare Peace of Mind. And instantly I knew that I had found a new role in my life, and I will be forever grateful for Joshua and Aaron for introducing me to this profession, because I feel like it is absolutely what I needed to do with my life, not only for myself, but I still feel like I had a lot to offer as far as teaching goes. And now I'm in the education field with the folks that are 65 and over. So I'm really enjoying what I'm doing. And I can't thank you enough, Joshua, for everything.
You're welcome. I'm happy to be in a position that us being in a relationship of some kind and knowing each other has changed the trajectory of your life. And so don't thank me. The industry has paid it forward to me. I pay it forward to others. I am curious, though, what you think the similarities are between being a teacher and being an insurance broker.
There are tons of similarities because you're taking a topic that is, for the most part, not something that people are really interested in learning about. So you have to find a way to present it to them in a way that makes sense to them. And you and Tyler, because I just saw that Tyler's on as well, you have an innate ability to read people, and you know what to do to inspire them and to get them to understand what you're trying to teach them. I'm still learning, even though I'm a teacher, I'm still learning as what parts of a person need to be addressed. What, like you always tell me about knowing what you saw in me, and you see that in other people, and I'm learning to do that as well. So there's that similarity. And then also getting the information out in a way that's informative, educational, and also a little bit entertaining.
You are one of the most efficient lead working machines I've ever seen.
Thank you.
Can you give one tip to the crowd out there of what you think separates you from others when you're working a lead to set an appointment?
Absolutely. I forgot to mention that before I started working as an administrative assistant for Joshua, I was a lead appointment setter for a different company. And all I did was call leads every morning from 8 a.m. to 11 a.m. And I got paid on the leads that I set into appointments. So it became just something that I had to accomplish. When I'm on the phone now, I use that same tactic. I am setting an appointment for myself, but I always pretend like I'm two different people. I'm the Lori, the appointment setter, and then I'm Lori, the insurance broker. So when I'm Lori, the appointment setter, I'm setting appointments for the other Lori, which is actually me. So I use it not as a way where I'm feeling intimidated, like, oh, I have to make this appointment. It's like, I'm going to make the appointment. And I feel very comfortable right now knowing that if I actually get somebody to answer the phone, I'm going to set the appointment with them.
I would agree. I think that you have that ability, and that's probably the hardest thing for an agent to do. I know for me, I struggle with being intimidated by the phone, by being afraid for some reason that I don't know if the monster is going to come through the phone and bite me or whatever it is. But I feel a lot of agents feel that way. Every time, though, when I just get into the groove and start making calls, it goes away right away. Good morning, Mr. Tingu. How are you today?
I am fantabulous. How are you this morning?
I'm about as good as it gets, I think. Living the dream one day at a time. We're on the Top 1% podcast. What else could we want? How was your trip back?
Eventful.
Okay. Well, I won't go into it then.
Yeah, no, wasn't terrible. I made it. That's the important thing. So,
Good. So yeah, we what do you think, Lori, attributes why do you think you had sex? I mean, for those of you that don't know Lori, she in her first year, rookie year, was 179?
169.
69. I overstated a little bit. 169 people helped in her first year. Ended up being number number six with Humana here locally.
In the state of Colorado.
I didn't give you very much help.
Well, you set me up and you gave me the model to follow and just said, do it.
What's the model?
Persistency and consistency.
In doing what?
In attacking your leads and showing up and being there every single day, having a plan for every hour of every day. And that's worked wonders for me. Like when we started doing the calendar system and you told me every hour of the day you have to have something planned. And before that, I was just doing like chunks of time, like, oh, from 9 to 11, I'll do this. From 12 to 1, I'll have lunch because I love to eat lunch. Joshua doesn't eat lunch. So that was never a part of his calendar. And then I would have like 1 to 3 call leads, or, I would have a block of time where I would have open for appointments. And you had looked over my calendar and you suggested you need to have exactly what you're doing every hour. And to me, that seemed like kind of ridiculous. Like, to be honest, I was like, oh my goodness, so many things you have told me. I've been like, oh, what in the world does he really expect me to do? And even if I thought it was the most ridiculous thing, I did it. And obviously changed my life. I cannot speak highly enough about the fact that my life took off in a totally different trajectory than it was when I look at it from 2 years ago. So I appreciate that, that you made me do that. You made me take accountability for my daily life. And that was very important.
No, I did not make you. And that's important because I tell everybody the same thing. The reality is 99 out of 100 people don't listen to me. They think I'm crazy. They think I'm stupid. They think I'm asking them to do something that I wouldn't do. Mr. Miyagi telling you to paint the fence is the analogy I always think of. It doesn't make sense of why I'm saying it or doing it that way, but it there is a formula to success, but there's not one formula to success. And so Lori's formula to success has been Lori's formula, and this, you deserve all the credit. I don't get any of the credit. In reality, the training that I gave you was you got to shadow me.
Mm-hmm.
For those of you who've never shadowed me before, in essence, you just watch me work. I think
That's right.
I don't say a word to you. We don't stop for potty breaks.
Never.
I just run my schedule. And so she did that for about 2 weeks,
Mhm.
I think, and then just went at it on her own. So
Mhm.
what I'll tell you is training doesn't matter. Mindset matters.
Mhm.
Number one. So having the right programming and mindset, the Medicare machine mindset is key. The more than likely you're closer than you think to success. More than likely it's a small adjustment in what you're doing, what you're saying. And I'll go back to tell everybody about where are you going after this?
Where am I going after this?
Yeah.
Today to the Weld County Food Bank.
Right. And so the Weld County Food Bank, when I first hit the field, they have both remote pantries, and then they have what are called mobile pantries, and they have what the food bank. And so when I first started, I took all of them on. I took all 13 of them on. I was going around all over Weld County, standing in cold parking lots, and the Weld Food Bank ended up being the most productive spot for several different reasons. And I was there for about 3 years before I passed the baton to you.
Mhm. Mhm.
And you were there for about 3 months. And
Mhm.
then what happened?
Oh my gosh, I was miserable. Well, for one thing, it snowed
Every
every
time.
single day that I was there, and I just felt like it was time that I wasn't being productive, and it was just like 3 hours of my day that I wasn't accomplishing anything, and I told Joshua, I think I wanna give it up. I don't wanna do the food bank anymore.
What did I say?
You said, "Let me come out there with you and let me listen to you. Let me hear what you're saying. Let me see if we can make any adjustments." And the first person that we talked to that day, Joshua said, "All you need to do is add this to what you're saying." And instantly I had a connection. I had an appointment set. And from that day forward, just changing just a simple phrase in what I was approaching the situation with changed the way that I was being heard by the people that I wanted to help. Because that was the bottom line, is that I knew that they needed me. I knew that they needed my help. And so for me to approach it in a different way made all the difference in the world. And now I will never give up the food bank. I love the food bank.
How many apps do you think you get from it a month?
I think I get on average at least 4 apps a month. There are days where I get like 3 contacts that turn into 3 applications in a day. And I love those days. Those are my favorite days, especially in the summertime. It was just like going to a beach party. It was so nice. And I had a tent set up, and people wondered, "What's going on over there?" And they would come and visit with me, and then I would find out certain things about their situation, about what they were currently experiencing with their Medicare. There are a lot of folks that I help that are on Medicare and Medicaid, and they don't even realize that there are certain programs that are available to them. And for me to be able to open their eyes to that changes their life, changes my life.
It's a beautiful business, isn't it?
It is. It really is.
Tyler, have you ever done a food bank?
No, never.
No, I, th-
Once or twice.
I think back when we were with Fidelis, I think you were doing the food bank of the Rockies with at a few locations that I was doing, right?
Yeah.
Did you do the one at the soccer stadium?
Yeah, I did the one at the soccer stadium and like 43 other different locations.
Yeah. So here's what I'll tell you: if you're gonna try to do you want to try to find a food bank, not a food pantry, if you can. A food pantry is a distribution site only. It's typically gonna have a static crowd, meaning the same people come every time, unless you have somebody move in or out of the neighborhood. With the food bank, typically it's not only a distribution site, but it's also the local storage for all the other distribution sites. And so typically a food bank will have a larger flow of crowd. It will also have a more diverse crowd because there's a more fluid You won't see the same faces as often by doing a food bank versus a food pantry. But what I would recommend is have something to give out. I would recommend wearing a smile. I would recommend wearing bright clothes so that think of yourself like a flower and you got to attract bees. So the more fun and attractive that you can be, the more fun and attractive you're going to be. And I would even go so far as to say, make it as fun as you can. So if you as a kid love to play dress up, then for me, I would have 1 week where I'm there as a pirate, 1 week where I'm there as I would in essence dress up for Halloween every week that I was at the food bank and have a different theme so that people would have fun. And even the people that have talked to me before want to talk to me again because this week I'm having a luau and maybe I'm playing a ukulele and I suck at it or whatever. It's that creative ability to create a unique experience. And I think that's what you provide, Lori, is you provide a unique experience. You provide a smiling face at all times. I think I've seen you not smile a few times. I'm sure you get mad and upset and all that stuff like everybody else does, but you don't show up very often.
Thank you.
And showing up with a smile all the time. I think those things are some of the most critical ingredients, whether you work in a food bank or anywhere else. But what the food bank offers you is an audition opportunity every week to practice. So the reason I like retail, so whether you take a kiosk at a Walmart, which you've done also, or whether you sit at a food bank or whatever, that's all the same thing. Would you agree?
I would agree. Yes.
So your mission is to attract people to come talk to you. Most people think the mission is to seek and destroy people to talk to chase them down, to it's not as aggressive as you think. You really want to be more about how do I attract somebody to me versus how do I hunt somebody down. Tyler, what do you think? I mean, from your perspective, what do you think makes Lori successful? Not to put you on the spot.
No,
Right here listening.
There are a ton of different things that compile it, but I mean, the overall most important piece is her determination and willingness to put herself out there to go do what needs to be taken care of so that she can get all of these steps in to be successful. And getting out of her own way, I think that's the biggest thing that has led to her success, especially as quickly as it was. I mean, obviously having the training on the back end and all of that stuff, but if she wasn't willing to get out of her own way and put herself out there, none of that would have mattered.
So someone that you're mentoring, Mr. Holden Kiefer, was one application behind her last year in his rookie year. So what do you think was the commonality between Holden and Lori's super fly first year? I don't have another way to describe it other than super fly.
Putting in the work, getting in the reps, being willing to do whatever it took to get out there and be successful, not having a mindset of a specific path. You know, like you mentioned, there's many paths to success. There's not just one. And I've seen a lot of agents that come into the industry with some ideal goal mindset of how they're going to get to where they want to be and aren't able to adapt or adjust. And then they fall flat on their face. And a lot of them, unfortunately, end up leaving the industry just because they aren't able to make that adjustment.
I agree. I think the adjustment, in my opinion, the two things that make Lori and Holden as strong as they are is their ability to follow the system. And whatever system that you're in, there's a reason why you're in that system. Somebody has proven on some level that system is productive. Now, not all systems are equal. Not all systems have fluidity to be able to be worked by anybody, so to speak. And frankly, this business isn't for everybody. Most people can't handle the pressure of the first 24 months.
True.
That's why they quit.
Mhm,
Because the first 24 months, there's plenty of nights, Lori, I would assume, where you were sitting there going, what the hell am I doing with my life? Why did I decide to do this? I want to quit now. I want to go back. Did you have those kind of
definitely.
times?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, absolutely. And one thing I want to mention is having Holden at starting at about the same time as me was very helpful for me, because I actually fed off of his energy. When I would see him just, just keep going out, keep going out, keep going out, I just thought, well, if Holden can do it, I can do it. And I always look back to what Joshua said. I don't care if you make a mistake. Just be out there, be presenting yourself, be presenting. If you forget something, they don't know. They don't have the script, and they don't know what is what you're supposed to be saying at any certain time, except for the fact when you do have to say something at a certain time. And I make sure that I say those things.
Right. Yeah. No, the consumer doesn't know as much as you know.
Mhm.
Even if you're the brand new agent who just went through AHEP, who just got their ready to sell email, you know exponentially more than virtually any client you're going to run into. And there's a few exceptions here and there when you run into an engineer or an architect who spent the last 6 months studying Medicare. But in reality, people that study Medicare do what? They go onto YouTube and watch videos, and now they're watching videos of other people who may or may not know what the hell they're talking about. Some people that put out content just put out content because they're good content creators. They don't necessarily know the information that they're putting out. I think AI is going to change the game a little bit on all this stuff.
Yeah.
What I can tell you is lately, the Robo Calls I've been getting about Medicare have been robots,
Mhm.
because I'll cuss them out and they don't blink. They just keep going. And so we what you need to do, if you're in this business, you need to be on a campaign of educating the consumer of what's happening, because these robots, like, it took me a couple of calls before I was like, this is a freaking robot.
Wow.
This is an AI that somebody's using an AI, and they're using untraceable numbers. So what they're doing is they clone numbers that are bad numbers, bad phone numbers, things like that. And it makes it very difficult to track or trace. So trust me, if I could, I would report the heck out of this stuff. It's coming to me every single day, and I can't. There's no way to track it.
Like it dozens of them every day. Doesn't.
And yeah, it's the if we as professionals aren't able to discern what is or isn't real, who is or isn't real, what messages are or aren't real, what is your consumer going to do? What is your client, Mrs. Betty, going to do sitting in her living room when this robot calls and the robot doesn't take no for an answer? When you say I'm not interested, the robot just keeps going. At best, the robot stops talking and then they hang up. I think that's the best case scenario.
Yeah.
But the industry is changing, and the more you're able to be like Lori and Holden and several other people I know, that creating a unique experience is the key. And like yesterday, I was in with Dylan, and I heard, I don't know who it was. Well, somebody came in the office and said, "Mrs. Lori," with like excitement, and you said, "Come on in," and it did not sound like the typical client agent relationship that I would hear,
Yeah,
right?
right.
So you know who it was that
I
came
do.
in.
Yeah. And I should add that when he left, he said, I want to bring you a gift. What do you like?
So Miss Lori hasn't. So if you happen to be an attractive woman, you have a very distinct advantage in this business, because believe it or not, there are still dirty old men out there.
Definitely.
And Shane and I were talking about this yesterday. It was like, he's like, I don't feel a threat from Lori. I said, yeah, because you guys attract completely, like, the clients you attract would never work with Lori, and the clients that work with Lori would never talk to you, because you do not look attractive like Lori does. And so that's okay. I will never be able to compete in a way that you can compete, and vice versa. There's some things that I can do that you would never be able to do. And each of you have special and unique, flowers. Lori for a long time was getting flowers weekly.
Every week.
Yeah. For like weekly, a different client and all that. But now she's gotten engaged again. So I guess you got to hide the ring so you can keep getting flowers. But yeah, you're right, Sherry. There are a lot of dirty old men, and it's okay to use that against them. Frankly, I would have no shame if I could get away with getting into a bunch of dirty old ladies. Sorry, Aaron, I know you're watching, but I would take advantage of that opportunity. I would wear tight shirts and show my big fat belly and all that good stuff. Take advantage of whatever opportunities and low-lying fruit that you have. And so I have a new agent that's starting, and he's got a family member that owns and has participation in some assisted living houses and things like that. If you have a low-lying fruit in your life, you have a connection, you probably do, you should be taking advantage of that. But again, I'll go back to the training I did yesterday on reciprocation obligation. You can't just go begging for change. And what I mean by that, don't find your family member or friend that has an into something you want and go there and say, please send me referrals or please plug me in. What you do is you re-engage that relationship for a little while. Take them to lunch, just hang out with them, check in, how's the family, get caught up, and eventually the conversation naturally will lead to what are you doing now? And that's when you take the detour over to see, okay, is there a way that you can help me? But if you beg for business, I find that what you'll end up doing is you'll create people that don't want to talk to you.
I would add, I went to my high school reunion this summer. And you know how you just visit with everyone about what you're doing with your life. I actually had a high school classmate call me last week because her brother is turning 65. And she had remembered the conversation that we had. And she thought, oh, I know somebody trustworthy that could lead my brother down the Medicare road. And I was so happy to get that referral because I wasn't expecting that referral.
100%. And that's another sleeper opportunity that a lot of people don't take advantage of. If you can find class reunions for, let's see, 1958 plus 17 years would be what?
Tyler.
1975. Is that it?
Yeah.
So you're looking for the class of 75 reunions right now. Anywhere from the class of 70 to 75. If you can go in, I mean, think about a class reunion. Do they have a budget? No. So if you go in there and go, I'll give $100 to sponsor your class reunion.
That's a great idea.
You could do something like that. Sponsor the cups, sponsor the beer for the night, but get a keg. There are a lot of creative things that you can do that don't necessarily, you're not going to set up a lead box at the class reunion, but you could certainly attend. And if you attended as a pirate or as a luau or as some character, that would attract people to come talk to you. And really, in reality, that's all you need. Your button's up right side up today. How come it's not upside down?
I put it on right today.
Yes. So for those of you who wear a button, wear it upside down because people can't help themselves but tell you it's upside down. It'll just create conversations by you having that button upside down.
This button has attracted so much attention. I love the button. In fact, I had this printed onto a little poster that I set on my desk when I was at the Walmart kiosk and also when I'm at Walgreens. And people will just walk by and say, oh, I have a question about Medicare, and before I even say hi to them. So they always have a Medicare question. And even if they don't have a Medicare question, they ask about what I'm doing for Medicare.
So what is Ask Me About Medicare? What is that doing?
It's opening the door for clients, potential clients, to reach out to me.
By using what?
By using
a point of pain.
A point of pain.
So Ask Me About Medicare is you're fishing for points of pain, and the people see it and go, oh, I have a question about Medicare. That's my point of pain. I have a question about knowledge I don't have. You are the person who has that. So you can fix their point of pain. That's why they engage with you and talk to you. Yeah. So what tips do you have for somebody's brand new? They're just getting their license. They just got certified. What's your top 2 tips for them to be successful?
Oh, my top 2 tips. I would say the absolute first tip is to trust your instincts and to, like you said before, that you know you are an expert in this field. You took all the tests required of you to learn the information. You got certified with the carriers. So you know what you're doing, even though it feels like at times you question, do I really know all the information? Do I know as much as Joshua? Like heavens, no. But I do know the information, and I also know where to access the information. And that's important. Just trust with what you know and believe in yourself and know that you do have something unique to offer. Like Joshua said, what I offer is different than what Shane offers, different what Joshua offers, different than what everybody on our team offers, because we're all unique individuals. And that goes along with what I also think is that you're dealing with individuals. So you have to look at each person individually and really find out what they need to have Medicare peace of mind, which is something that I strive very hard to do. I think that was my first
That was
point.
a very good one.
So the second one is just what Joshua has preached over and over: be persistent, be consistent, just every day. Persistency, consistency, doing the next right thing. And last week, when I had the opportunity to attend Medicare Con, which was a great experience and very eye-opening, and I learned a lot of information, I did get behind on my customer service issues, and I was overwhelmed with voicemails and text messages and emails. And I had the weekend where I just thought, oh my goodness, I have so many things to do. And I just started breaking it down, like doing the right thing for the person, the next step. What is the right thing to do for that person? What is the next step? And just one thing at a time. Solve each individual problem just one step at a time. Little chunks.
It's very overwhelming.
Mm-hmm.
The running your own business is very difficult. Running your own business when you feel like you don't know what you're doing. Like, it's one thing if you're like passionate about shoes and you start a sneaker store, but it's another thing when you start a Medicare agency and you feel like you're not sure if you know what you're doing or not. You're afraid of messing somebody up. And so, yeah, I think those are two great tips.
Yeah.
My number one tip for somebody getting started is take the time to interview and find the right leader to follow.
Mm-hmm.
You want to have someone that you have chemistry with. You want to have somebody that you have values that are similar to, and you got to like them. You should like the person that you're following. Otherwise, it will become a chore at some point. Also, don't be afraid to pivot. So I think that's the second big tip I could give somebody is don't be afraid to completely just abandon the course you're going. And go the other direction. I've heard people tell me crazy things before, like I'm pot committed or I'm all in. I don't think you're all in. Most people don't really know what all in is. Most of us aren't willing to go all in. And so the top 1% mindset that Lori carries, I had to combine both words, that Lori carries, that Tyler carries, that I carry, that Holden carries, that a lot of people that I know carry. The top 1% mindset has to do with my ability to help everybody. Now, I might not make a sale for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
I might not get paid for everybody,
Mm-hmm.
but I can help everybody. I can give peace of mind to whoever I sit down with, whoever I talk to, wherever I go, if I choose to do that. And so you want to create core values that keep you in alignment with what you're doing. And I think the best thing to do is to be authentically you. So in the beginning, in my mind, when I first hit the field, I wanted to be everything to everybody, and I wanted every client in the world. But I would ask you, Lori, are there people that you don't like?
Yes.
Okay. Me too. Tyler, are there people that you don't like?
I love everybody.
Yeah. So my point is, not everybody's supposed to be your client.
Mm-hmm.
And when you're authentically you and you stay centered to who you are and you're having fun in your moment and you're enjoying your life and you're helping people, you will attract the people that align with you. And you'll repel the people that you're too much, you're too smiley, you're too this, you're too that. Good. Go away. And that's the power of it, is when you get to that point as a professional where I think one of my favorite things, my most empowering things I've ever done is fire a client. Is call the insurance company and tell them, remove me as the agent of record. And I literally say, I don't want to get paid anymore. It's a weird thing to say, but it's such an empowering thing where I am in such a position of control of what I do now that I can tell people, no, I don't want to get paid. Like, you're not worth it. Like, think about that. That's a crazy thing to be able to do. But I encourage you, whether you're new or not, be somewhat selective on who you let into your client family. And I'll tell you, it only takes one or two to screw the whole thing up. One rude person who throws you under the bus and files a complaint can ruin your year mentally. But here's what I'll tell everybody that works long enough in this business will get a complaint. Yeah. Have you gotten one yet?
Not yet.
Okay, good. Keep it that way as long as you can. Inevitably, if you help enough people, something will happen.
Yeah.
Somebody will say something, which is why CYA is very important. So that's my number 2 tip. Start out up front, document everything, save everything. I've been recording all my phone calls since before it was required. So I really encourage doing that. It gives you a layer of integrity check. It also gives you a layer of CYA. If somebody says you did or didn't say something, being able to pull up the actual recording and say, no, this is what I said, this is what you said, is very powerful.
And we experienced that last year with one of my first attempts at helping someone. And then a couple months later, they said that we had said a certain situation that we could get him 1 month coverage between when his wife dropped him and when Medicare started. And it happened to be an appointment that I recorded.
We recorded that appointment for her training purposes, actually, but it ended up being for her cover her butt purposes, because they were ready to say that we told them one thing and we clearly didn't.
Yeah.
And that's the thing too. When somebody is in a position, especially with someone like if they don't know you, it's one thing if it's like your mom or somebody, they're not going to throw you under the bus. But a general client who's just met you and they're in a situation where financially they're screwed over because of a decision they made, but they see an opportunity to throw you under the bus to get out of it. Put your helmet on because you're going under. But yeah, so pivoting, you're in year 2 now, right? We're basically a month into your year 2. Where do you see this year going?
Right now, I am only in competition with the Lori from last year. So I'm kicking her, you know what, because I'm way better than Lori from last year. But I know now there's a comfort level to what I'm doing. There's not the fear of the unknown. Like I see how quickly this year is already going and what I have to look forward to for the year. So I'm looking forward to the year with anticipation, knowing like, oh my goodness, the summer is coming. I'm going to be at the food bank. I'm going to meet and greet all these new people. I'm excited about that. I'm excited about AEP starting up again. And I just see like just a world of possibility opening up for me personally, and also for the handful and numbers of people that I'm going to be able to help this year.
What are you doing over there, Tyler?
I'm looking at Lori like she said she's excited for AEP, and I'm like cringing.
At first, I wasn't sure if you were frozen, pissed off.
Yeah,
pooping.
no,
I wasn't sure what was going on.
How are you excited for AEP, Lori? Why?
Well, I was so excited in January when I got the hugest deposit of my lifetime.
She got a year's salary in one shot.
And I have to say
was that a nice experience?
What was that?
I said, was that a nice experience?
It was a great experience. And the thing that I have to share is that when I started working as an appointment setter, I signed a contract for a piece of property in the mountains. And I did a finance option where I had a balloon payment that was due in 2 years. And at the time I thought, 2 years, that's a long way away. I don't know how I'm going to pay for that. Maybe I'll refinance it. Maybe I'll have to sell it. I don't know. But it turned out that 2 years later was when I received my commissions from
Balloon
AEP,
commissions?
and I was able to pay off my land in full. And to me, that was such a blessing and such a great feeling, and knowing that I can accomplish things in my lifetime that I never thought that I would. I thought I would be living on my para retirement package, which is like
It's
kind
okay,
of
but it's not as good as being an insurance agent.
right. It's not. It's really not. And people ask me all the time if I wish that I would have just put in a few more years teaching so that I would have that, full year of retirement through para. And I'm so thankful that I didn't go that route, because I have endless possibilities right now with my future and what I can do for my children and my grandchildren who have yet to be born, but they'll be here someday and they'll watch this old podcast and say, wow, Grandma, thanks for changing our lives.
Go grandma. That's right. That's right. So yeah, you have a very bright future, and that's probably the key of this. And one of the reasons why I wanted to bring you were the first one that I did at my home podcast studio, which frankly wasn't nearly as good as this one was.
This is incredible. Like, you guys have to be here in person.
Yeah,
it's
no,
amazing.
I probably spent way too much money putting this thing together.
If you blindfolded me and brought me in here and opened my eyes and said, where are you? I would say, like, are we at KDVR in
A different
Denver?
location,
Yeah.
for sure. There's several $1,000s into this room. But that's the beauty of it. That's the beauty of this business. When you do this thing and you do, all of a sudden you can do it. If you wake up one day and I go, you know what, I'm going to build a podcast studio.
If you believe, it will be.
So I did.
Mhm.
And I'm in a position, Tyler's in a position, Lori's now in a position. Anyone watching this podcast, if you get into this business, you have an opportunity to be in a position to not only change your life, but change others' lives. That's one of my favorite things right now, Lori, to do is find people to help.
I agree.
When I was younger, I don't know why, but I had a mindset where every single homeless person is a piece of crap. And I don't know why. And so to me, I would get angry if I saw a panhandler. Like, how dare you, almost. Now I can't help it. I try to help every single person I find, and those people are definitely in a position of need. And I think that's my favorite part about where I'm at now, is the transition I'm making now is more about, it's been about me for a long time. And even as a parent, like Aaron and I were talking about this yesterday. When I look back, I basically owe Ty and Dylan an apology, because the parent, the dad that they got to deal with versus the parent that Jacob and Paige get are astronomically different. And Dylan and I had a conversation about that yesterday. And what I can tell you is it's affected him. And now both of us looked at it in potentially a negative light. However, what I would argue, because when I think back, most people that I know that are hyper successful didn't have a smooth ride. So the smooth ride can also almost be a deterrent to success if it's not handled correctly, if it's too smooth. Because the one thing that adversity prepares you for is more adversity. So this is not all sunshine and smiles. So Lori paying off her land in one shot, which I tickles me pink thinking about that every time. Because that feeling, that feeling of being able to just go, you know what, gone. This bill is gone. And that happens to me every year too. Because for those of you who aren't in the business, so here's another pro tip when you're new. July through October range, it gets really tough, because as you go into the year, business that's not new turning 65 is prorated. So the amount of money you get per person you help goes down and 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 down. And now all of a sudden in October, you might be getting $80 where you're used to getting $300, right? And so that part of it, inevitably, I ended up running my credit. All my credit cards end up getting maxed out in that time frame. My credit score goes down, and then inevitably, as soon as we hit January, all of a sudden now everything gets paid off again. The score comes back up, and so it's okay. It's okay if that's the way things happen. If you go up and down in the rise and the fall of this business, in any business really, but as an entrepreneur and really a solopreneur, so that's probably what's the most unique thing about this industry. Is there's really a low barrier to entry. $1,000 gets you into this business. Less than, you probably get away with $500 if you really had to. No overhead. What overhead do you have?
Well, I would say the most expensive part of it is fuel for
Gas,
my car
right?
and upkeep on my car. And
How much do you spend on gas? Do
I
you know?
spend way too much.
Do you know
It's
how much?
embarrassing. About $800 a month.
Yeah, that's not bad. That's
Yeah.
not bad. 2 years ago, I spent $30,000 on gas.
Oh my gosh. Wow. Well, next year in January, if my car makes it through this year, I will use money to buy a new car.
What car do you want?
I don't know. I really like Tyler's Bronco. Does it get good gas
Erin wants a
mileage?
Bronco too until you got one. She's like, screw that. I can't have one now.
Good. I ordered mine 3 years ago. She can wait. No, it actually is not too bad. You can get, if you drive it like a normal, sane person, you can get 20 miles to the gallon, 2022, somewhere in there. For a bigger vehicle, it's not so bad. If you drive it like me and you want to race everywhere, it's like 16 to 18, but
yeah, it's not a big deal.
But it's beautiful.
Way better than the old Expedition that I used to drive around that got like 8 to 11.
Yeah.
So
that's where I'm at right now.
And that's the fun part of the progression of this is, and it's okay. I don't feel any more successful now that I'm driving an Infiniti than when I was driving a Hyundai Santa Fe with no door handle. Get the Bronco. Say, oh yeah, I did see that. So Sherry, that thing took a T-bone like a champ.
Oh my goodness.
But yeah, no, the fun part about this business is the unlimited possibilities. It's the first opportunity I've ever found where I truly feel like it's an unlimited income opportunity. And as hard as you want to work, you can make as much money as you want.
And to go along with that, it's not boring. Like every day is different. And sometimes I feel like I'm kind of like an investigator, that I have to get to the root of everyone's problem and solve things and figure things out. So it's a very intriguing occupation. It is, it's full of all of the good feelings that you ever want to have in your entire life, because you're changing people's lives daily. It's something that it's kind of hard to put into words, because it's powerful and meaningful to the people that you're helping, as well as to yourself, as well as for your family members that look at you going, wow, look at what you're doing with your life. Look at how you're changing not only your own personal life, but the lives of everyone you're coming into contact with. And whether they become my personal clients or not, I am just very thankful that I'm having this opportunity to live my life this way right now in 2023.
What do you think is the number one thing that someone should not do as a new agent?
What you should not do. Wow.
Is there a mistake that you made? You went, I'm not doing that again.
Well, gosh. That's a tough question. What am I not going to do again?
I'll buy you some time.
What was that, Tyler?
I can buy you some time. The number one thing that I'm dealing with now is I waited way too long to get an assistant. But when I finally did, branding my business as me. Not a logo, not a name, just as Tyler. Because when I've been working with someone for 6, 8, 10 years, and they don't call Tyler anymore, they have to talk to my assistant because my schedule has gotten so much fuller. That's a tough barrier for your clients to get in there. So putting yourself into a position where if you're going to get a hold of me, you can also contact my office. Even if you don't have an office and an assistant, have a second number and leave a voicemail for it, something, whatever. Putting yourself into that position so the client expectation isn't always that you're going to respond right away, that they're getting a personal voicemail, so that when you're making that transition further on, it becomes a lot easier. That's one of the biggest things. One, get an assistant way before you need it, which is said all the time. But two, making sure you're not branding you. You're branding your company, whether you're a solopreneur or you have an agency with hundreds of agents.
That's great advice. Really great advice.
Did you
But
think of something
it
yet?
didn't buy me enough time, Tyler. Tell us something else. I don't know. I think everything that I've done, even if it hasn't worked out, has been a learning opportunity, and it's a learning curve. I just feel like when I look at my calendar from last year and I recall appointments that I had that didn't turn into writing an app, I can see what I did wrong. Like I can see how it didn't produce an app. And then some of the folks that I talked to last year from Turning 65 seminars, and they didn't choose me to work with me. And then I saw them later, like at the store, or especially when I was at Walmart or Walgreens, and I would see somebody and I could tell that they felt really sad that they weren't working with me, that, you know, that they had lost out on something that probably would have been a very special relationship for the both of us. Because as Joshua and Tyler have told me from the beginning, that our clients are like our family members, that we treat each person in such a unique way that when you do have a client, even if when you have as many as Joshua and as many as Tyler have, each person has a special piece of your heart. And at the beginning, I didn't understand that. I didn't understand how strangers could be important to you in such a special way. And now I totally get it. Like I can look at my client list in my portal and just like look at the names and picture them, and just, even if I haven't talked to them in a couple of months, I think of reaching out and wondering how their day is going and what they're doing. And it's a unique opportunity, a unique experience. And I seriously, know I've said this before, but it is life-changing for many reasons.
We're almost out of time now. Are you excited?
Dang it. Let's do this
You get to
another
go to the
hour.
food bank.
Oh yeah, that's true. I am excited for that.
So we have a few minutes left. What I want to close this Top 1% podcast with is a few tips. So we give you a few tips of if you're new, and I agree, branding's on point. And the sooner you can create your own brand, the easier it is to be different. That's my, people struggle with that part of it, but don't overcomplicate that part. And is it hard to think of a good name? It depends on what you're trying to do. The easy thing to do is use your name, because, and the reason it is you already own that. You don't have to worry about trademarking it, most likely, if you're going to do that route. And so there's angles to branding that make the rest of the process easier. And part of what I thought made the process easy for me is I had the brand in the beginning. So even though for the first year and a half it was just me, I still formed the agency. I went through the process and the cost of creating the agency, and I still funneled everything through the agency as an S corp, and I paid myself a salary, which in retrospect was one of the best decisions I made, because it made me operate like a real business from day one. And I didn't fall trap to. Nowadays, do I do stuff like this where I print cups and stuff? And do I have a whole vault where I have like 50 cups because I ordered some and then I forgot I ordered them and I ordered more. And so I ended up ordering them like 2 or 3 times. But you're going to get a cup for being on the podcast today. And it's little things that'll make the most difference. So you don't need a big budget to make an impact. You just need a big creativity budget. You have to be able to think outside the box and create unique experiences. And when Lori says I have an ability to read people, I don't. What it is I've created a skill set over time. What I used to think was a negative, what people would call me a wallflower. And I get antisocial, I get wallflower, I get a lot of things. In reality, I've been sitting on the sidelines watching and studying people, studying mannerisms, studying how their lips move when they talk normally, studying how their lips move when they're nervous, studying little tiny nuances and body language and tone and inflection and all these little things. It's just been, humans have fascinated me. It's like a National Geographic show to me. Humans to me, when I can look at them from a high level, like we're very fascinating creatures. You put us in a group, we act differently. You put all men together and see what happens. Some chaos happens. Put all women together, you get chaos. All children. Humans, when you can understand the dynamics of humans, that's what makes sales easy, is because your ability to connect with a person. So I would encourage you to plug into things. I don't know of another training course out there that helps with that, but in a month, you're going, aren't you? You going to SWAT? You should add that to your list of I have to goes. I'm telling you. And if there's a way that you can clear your schedule, there's still some tickets left.
Okay.
It's June 1st, 2nd, 3rd.
Okay.
If you're out there and you don't go, and Nate does not pay me to say this. I don't even know. Nate barely knows my name. So, but what I can tell you is both Tyler and I have been to the last, 3? This will be our 4th one in a row. I don't know that I'll continue to go forever, but it's definitely taken my read people game to new levels, and to the point where when we met, I had just come back from a SWAT, and my very first moment, what did I tell you?
That I was a blue.
And you were one of the bluest humans I've ever met. Okay, but that ability helped me, because before that, I really am only good with reds, because I'm such an aggressive, dominant personality. I can run people over and hurt their feelings. And so if I hadn't gone to SWAT and learned how to handle a blue, I wouldn't know how to work with you, and I wouldn't know how to work with Dylan.
Yeah.
So I know I probably say that about every conference that I go to, that you have to go. But this is one of those trainings. It's not a conference. It's an actual workshop training that they give you that stuff. But I would encourage all of you to study people, study humans, study psychology, and use those things to your advantage, because humans are very predictable. Humans in general are very easy to manipulate. And so that's really what sales is manipulation, but for good. We're trying to help them get to something that they don't know or don't think that they should have, but they should, especially with something like insurance. I don't think I've ever met a consumer that could not only describe what they want, but describe how it worked. Like most people buy insurance. I was like, I don't know, sounds good. I can afford the premium,
and they know they need it.
Right. So most people, if I think back to when I got into insurance, I knew what a deductible was, but I didn't know what it was. I knew of the concept of coinsurance, and I knew what a copay was. I think that's about it.
That's more than me. That's more than I knew.
Right. So plug into things like this, plug into trainings, plug into conferences. I'm not saying spend your whole career attending conferences, because after a certain while, it becomes more about the trip than it does about the content. But like a conference like Medicare Con, and I wish we would have spent more time on that. You should have had at least 1 or 2 things that you were able to implement this week that should be helping you. And if not, then that should have been the intention of the conference. But we are out of time. Who's that? Sherry? Yeah, we can't wait for SWAT either, if you can't tell. I'm taking my 17-year-old son this time.
Oh, nice.
And I'm really excited about that. But yeah, thanks for tuning in. I love doing this podcast. We haven't always been persistent with it, which is one of my, I tell you, you got to be that way. But that's the thing about content. The cool part is you control when you do it and how you do it. And so, put out content. That's my second final tip of the day is, just do it. Even if you think no one's watching, even if you think it's not good, it's better than you think, and more people are watching than you think too. So, thanks for joining us, Lori. Hope you have a wonderful day at the food bank. I can't tell you how proud I am of the progress that you've had. Tyler, thanks for sitting there staring at us for an hour.
Yeah, you're welcome. You're amazing, Lori, and I'm super proud of you, super impressed with you, and I'm really looking forward to seeing how you kick the crap out of 2022, Lori.
Thank you.
Holden, she's gonna dominate you still, buddy.
Oh, bro, you got called out.
All right, guys. Have a great day, everyone.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Take care, everybody.